Hey everybody, how we doing? It's me, Joe Salyers, back here for the Music Factory Studios. Today, I got something coming in the mail, and it's the new M1 Max MacBook Pro 16-inch. Now, first, I'm going to show you my old MacBook. I had the 16-inch, and I also had the 2019 15-inch. Now, this is the 15-inch. It's been sitting on a table for, God, I couldn't tell you how many months now. But I sold the old 16-inch. They actually had the same CPU. The only difference was screen size and GPU. So this one is the 15-inch. It had the 9750H 6-core i7 along with a 555X AMD graphics card. The 16-inch I had the 5600M AMD Navi GPU along with the same i7 9750H CPU. But the new MacBook Pro that I just got is the 16-inch 10-core CPU, 32-core GPU with 32 gigs of RAM. This thing is awesome. I can't say enough good things about it. It's got 1 terabyte of storage. It's basically just the bog standard 16-inch M1 Max MacBook Pro. Now, I bought this because I thought about getting a 14-inch until I saw some reviews where basically it's power limited compared to the 16-inch. And you can see the thickness difference of the new MacBook Pro on the right compared to the older 15-inch on the left. The difference isn't that much in thickness. It's about the difference of the screen. But I will say these new MacBooks feel very, very well made. They feel old school well made. So I can't say enough good things about how well this thing is made and all the little extras that come along with it. This thing is a beast of a machine. The screen is just unreal. Now here's the size comparison. To be honest with you, they're the same size basically as far as width and depth. And this is the 15-inch. The 16-inch, when I got it, was exactly the same size, except it was just a little bit thicker than the 15-inch, and the screen had less bezel on it. Now, this new MacBook Pro does have this notch, but that is part of the, new aesthetic of Apple. But you can see the difference in size. It's very minimal. It's, less than 1/4 of an inch. So the only real difference is weight and thickness. All right, I'm going to switch to my camera and what I did live while setting it up. So if you go from one Mac to another, which I'm going from my M1 Mac Mini, I'm just going to put everything from it to this new one. You need to go into Migration Assistant, and you'll see a screen come up that looks like this. Okay, once it comes up, you'll choose it in a menu that looks like this. It'll show the little Mac Mini here. And then you'll have to wait until it gets all your files and folders and blah, blah, blah in there, right? Now, what I've chosen to do is just hook up with a Thunderbolt cable. It will give you 2 sets of numbers, almost like when you use Bluetooth. And or not 2 sets of numbers, but 6 numbers. And you will make sure they match. And then you will let this populate. They'll either say calculating or they will show you this information. And then once you're done with that, you just hit continue. And we'll set the password. So after you've set your password, you'll begin to see how it begins to transfer all of your information. You're going to be limited by the slowest drive. So the Mac Mini has the slower SSD compared to this new one. So it should give me an estimated time here right now. Let's see what it says. It says about 18 minutes remaining. I think that'll move pretty quick. It went from 28 to 18. This one down here says 14, 12, 11, 10. So you are still limited by the slower SSD, but the new M1 Mac Minis have the PCI 4.0 SSDs basically. Now they only run at about 2,000 megabits a second, whereas these new ones run at about 5 to 7 depending on how much RAM and what size SSD you got. So they run between 5 and 7 gigs a second, which is kind of just insane. See, we're already down to 8 minutes. So when it finishes, I'll show you what's going on with this. Sorry about the camera audio quality. I know it's trash. It's a Sony camera and the built-in internal mic. If it's shaky, I apologize. But I've never, for all the years I've owned a Mac, I've never transferred things this way. I've always just done like a time machine backup or just set it up, you know, on its own with just my Apple ID. But I wanted to try this. Since it's Apple Silicon to Apple Silicon, it should be pretty good. So we'll see what happens. Another cool little option you can look at is right here. It has connection details. So we can apparently do this over like a Tor peer-to-peer torrent network, as well as Wi-Fi. And it shows how fast those were. You know, they were like 6 megabytes. One was 28 megabytes. But over Thunderbolt, it was 483. So that's pretty interesting. Also, I had not turned the screen up. I thought it was turned up all the way. Okay? But it wasn't. It was only to here when I turned it on. So basically, when you get them, they're at 50%. Now, I've got this camera in HLG Rec 2020 mode, which is an HDR mode. So I'm going to turn it up. This thing gets stupid bright. Like, I know that it's supposed to be 500 nits or whatever in SDR mode or standard definition mode. Man, it just seems brighter than my other MacBooks, and it's way brighter than like my LG screen or the 15-inch MacBook. So the text is so clear on this thing, it's unreal. I mean, look how bright this thing is. But it came out of the box halfway, which is perfectly acceptable for me. Okay, now Migration Assistant is complete, it says. So on the Mac Mini, it shows that. Okay, and down here on the MacBook, it shows migration complete. So we'll do I'm going to hit done on the Mac Mini, and it'll restart, and then I'll restart the MacBook Pro. I still had to go through the same security policy setup option of reduced security for UAD, and I have a complete video on that if you want detailed instructions on how to do that. But I had to do it again since it loaded literally everything I had. Okay, here's an issue you might run into. I opened Logic, so I'm going to hit OK and then or cancel, and over here it's going to tell me I can allow anyway. I'm in security and privacy on the system preferences. Cancel, allow anyway, allow anyway. I didn't disable Gatekeeper, so I'm going to do that as well. And that's a thing. I guess I could screen record now, couldn't I? Allow anyway. So let's do that. Let's switch to the screen. It's going to let me allow it anyway. Cancel, allow anyway. So open security and privacy before you open your version of Logic, and just hit cancel, allow anyway, cancel, allow anyway. Now you'll have to go into Logic's plugin manager and fix all of that, but everything was here, which was kind of handy. Another thing I do when I set up a new MacBook Pro is I go into the accessibilities menu and I go into the, where's it at? I'm looking for the pointer control and trackpad options. I like to drag with 3 fingers. It just allows me to grab a window while I've got 2 fingers down and 1 finger on the trackpad to move the window around. Pretty handy. Go back to security and privacy in case we run into another issue, which I don't think we will. Stack all this stuff up. Stacks. And so you can see here is the specs. It is the Apple M1 Max. Now, here's the Geekbench scores I got. 1725 single core, 12,200 multi-core. That's in Apple Silicon mode. In the Intel mode, I got 1345 single core, 9,867 multi-core, which is pretty good for Rosetta emulation, basically. The graphics on this thing is a powerhouse. Here's the OpenCL score in Geekbench, which is 57,463, which is better than the 5700 GPU I was using. And the metal score was 68,102. Now, that was really good for this laptop. I mean, it beat out a desktop 5700 in a Thunderbolt enclosure. Now let's talk about SSD speed. I tested the internal SSD against a Thunderbolt external SSD. And on the left, you can see the Thunderbolt SSD, which got around 2,000 write and 2,500 read versus the 6,000 to 7,000 read-write speed of the M1 Max's internal 1 terabyte SSD. Now here's the Cinebench scores I got with this machine. 12,292 on multi-core, 1,525 on single core, which is pretty good, to be honest with you. And it did this test without even the fan kicking up. I got another video where I tried to stress this thing to get the fan to even kick on, and I couldn't. Now, it was a short little small test, but hey, I was just seeing what I could do. On an Intel machine, it would have sounded like a jet engine in no time. So this 10-core CPU and 32-core GPU with 32 gigs of RAM is just a powerhouse. I mean, it is a complete and utter powerhouse. It's the laptop I've kind of always wanted. I always wanted a desktop replacement, but they were never really desktop leveled. Sure, there are desktops that can beat this, and you know, you can build a PC that's cheaper, but the thing is everything about this laptop is exactly what I wanted in a machine, and I can't be more happy than what I am. All right, guys and gals, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to see more from the Music Factory Studios. Also, since you're already here on YouTube, check out one of these videos on your screen now, and we'll catch you next time. Have a great day, y'all.